Did you know 8th December is celebrated as National Blue Collar Workers Day in some part of the world? Well, in India, there's a business that's making empowerment for blue collar workers an everyday norm by providing them access to a wide range of financial and health services, giving them the tools they need to operate within a more regularized environment. I'm speaking to the co founder of that very business called Entitled Solutions, Anshul Khurana. He tells me more about co founding this business with his partners Arpan Jain and Krishna Yadav. He talks to me about the purpose and the vision that he has behind doing something like that and how he arrived at it and a whole lot more. So go check out the episode, and until the next one, stay tuned. This is Karishma. I'll be back every Sunday and Thursday with a fresh new episode only on Karishma Connect. Until then, stay tuned in and stay happy. Thank you so much, Anshul, for joining me on this episode of Karishma Connect. It's a pleasure to have you. I can't wait to get to know more about what you do and how you do it. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Karishma, for having me on the show. Pleasure speaking with you today.
Most welcome. So, the first thing I do on Karishma Connect is your journey so far. I know it's a
Mhm.
very difficult question, but it's one that I think you say best rather than me introducing the audience to it.
Sure.
So, dive right in.
I'll quickly speak a little bit
Absolutely.
about what we are trying to do at Entitled as well. So we're three founders,
Mhm.
and we were working with blue collar workers, and we saw that workers have a tremendous lack of access to very, very basic essential services that we take for granted
Mhm.
today. Right, these being especially financial services as well as health services. And so we saw that because they lack access to these basic services, they find it incredibly hard to be able to, continue to sustain and move up in their lives. And we saw that the lack has a significant impact on their ability to continue to put in the hard work that they do in the workforce, right? And that's what prompted us to come up with the idea of building a platform that can allow them access to basic financial and health services. Besides
Mhm.
that, what we also do is allow them to understand what government schemes can they benefit from, and how can they go about navigating that entire ecosystem of government schemes. And so, having built
Mhm.
this platform, we're live today to about 700,000 workers. We enable access to services including, credit, savings, primary or preventive healthcare, medical loans, insurance, etc. And we're hoping to actually expand access to close to 2 million workers over the next year and a half. While
Mhm.
our primary target is workers in the organized economy, so gig workers or workers, in the traditional economy such as manufacturing,
Mhm.
logistics, etc. We are also now building programs to try and have an impact on the more unorganized segments of the workforce, such as construction workers, domestic workers,
Yeah.
etc. So our hope is, in all, we're able to push our impact to about 2 million workers over the next year, and hoping to continue to have a significant scale from here on.
But that's brilliant, and it's at a time when the economy has picked up so very well. Did you always know that it was going to pick up so well, or was it just that you fell in the right place at the right time?
So, if you look at the entire low-income workforce segment, it's massive by itself, right? We're talking about 100 million workers in different segments. Some of these organized, some of these unorganized. While the switch from traditional workforce models to gig has come in at the right time, so to say, for us, and so it's sort of been serendipity from that perspective.
Mm.
But if you look at the workers on the other side, it's still a massive market. So we always knew it's good. It's a large market to tackle, and not a lot of people are trying to solve for it. And it could be an amazing opportunity for someone to not just build a business, but have social impact while you're
Yeah.
building a business. The growth in gig economy has definitely helped us in a way, something that we did not really imagine early on, but we knew it's going to be a huge market anyways.
Yeah, yeah. Even the word gig, I don't think it was popular a while ago, even though this
Sure.
has existed for quite some time across the world. But I don't think that anybody termed it as a gig economy or a gig that you were doing, it was just,
Sure.
and often it wasn't even taken seriously. I think it was okay, it's freelance, but now freelance and gig economy has become such a big buzzword for for the lack of a better term, that it's
Yeah.
really taken over. Tell me, how is it supporting small and big businesses? Because you're in the market, you're seeing the impact. How has it evolved the workforce?
Well, there are two key benefits that the gig economy brings for businesses, be it small or large. One is the fact that gig economy will typically have a lower cost. And when I'm talking about cost, I'm talking about the fact that there are labor laws that today do not apply to the gig economy. And in a traditional way, just compliance with labor laws is a huge cost for businesses, right? So the gig economy allows businesses to be able to operate at a lower cost with gig workers. And the second key benefit, and I think in fact a larger benefit, is the amount of flexibility it gives businesses to be able to grow, right? Businesses go through, or a large number of businesses would typically go through seasons through a year, right? Festive till December, they'll need their requirements of workers will be much larger than it would be for the rest of the year, for example, and allows platforms to scale as per
Mhm.
demand, right? Which would have become very, very difficult if you were looking at a more traditional employment model. So those are sort of two key benefits. In fact, yes, some of the businesses or some of the business models that you see today would probably not have existed if not
Very
for the
true.
entire gig model. All of these segments of workers, they've benefited as well, because there is some amount of organization that gig work in these segments is able to bring in. They have at least access to some basic benefits, etc., that they would not even have thought of in the unorganized economy. So it's a major boon for businesses, but if you look at the other side as well, it's been great for workers in those segments that have evolved because of gig work as well.
It's interesting that you say that, because recently on Karishma Connect, I had interviewed somebody who's behind an agri-tech platform in India. And
Mhm.
he was talking to me about how having such platforms, especially for the rural sector, especially for these kind of economies in the rural sector, is so important. And it's important for young
Mhm.
businesses to actually look at that sector and take action, drive impact through the technology that we have. Is
Sure.
that something you see with Entitled as well, and with your experience? Is that something you have seen is very much needed, in addition to the reforms that I think the governments around the world are already doing by incorporating gig economy? What do you think is needed to kind of drive further impact?
Sure. So one, businesses do not even have a choice today, but to incorporate, some of the gig economy elements into the workforce that their workforce model. Businesses go through cycles every day, right? And so while some of them might have 10% of their workforce as gigs, some of the others might have a majority of their workforce as gigs. So I'm very sure that businesses today have no of involve the entire gig economy workers as part of their overall strategy. I think where the government needs to step in is to ensure that there is some amount of balanced regulation that
Mm.
comes in to ensure that workers do not become full-time workers. I don't think anyone wants workers to have that become full-time workers, and then for businesses to look at compliance again, which is a huge hassle, etc. as well, right? So there is some amount of balanced regulation that's needed. Also, I think the other need of the hour for gig workers is to ensure there are benefits built for the gig economy workers,
Yeah.
right? When I talk about benefits, I'm talking about, access to loans, for example, access to insurance
Mm.
products, things that you would take for granted in traditional models, but because there aren't too many products or services built specifically for the gig audience, there is still an amount of lack there. And businesses need to ensure that they incorporate benefits that workers can then have access to, and ensure that it becomes a sustainable
Yes, very
model for
true.
them as well, and workers can continue to thrive as much as platforms
Very
can.
true. Completely agreed. I think that is very important. And then tell me, why do we need to look at regulating these ecosystems, and how can one do that?
Sure. So, traditionally, labor regulations or labor law like regulations have come up because, you want to prevent exploitation of workers, right? Because especially in a country like India, where the supply of labor is very, very large, because there are just with a population, there are a lot of people looking for opportunities. Regulation needs to come in to ensure that there's no exploitation that happens in recruiting labor, and they continue to work and thrive. It's a similar sort of motive or objective for the gig side of the economy as well. Today, gig workers are not covered by any labor regulations at all, which means that gig platforms can recruit workers and technically have to not do anything, even though a lot of platforms will give them health benefits, etc. But to ensure that there is at least a basic standard set across the gig economy, the government specifies there is at least a basic level of health access that workers should have. Regulation could play an important role. But I must add that right, too much regulation in the segment will literally just kill the segment,
Yeah.
because it's on a fast paced growth. A lot of there's been a lot of talk around the world where states have said, or countries have said, oh, gig work should be looked at as regular full-time work. And the moment you start to do that, all of the traditional issues that have existed with labor law start to come in here as well, and hence the need for more balanced regulation. You ensure that the benefits continue to remain, while at least there is a basic set of social security or set of benefits that are enabled for workers as well.
The very foundation of it is based on freedom, right? In a way.
Hmm.
And if you
Right.
take away that, then it becomes just like any other job then.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's interesting. While traditionally gig work is looked at as something that I will do for the time being, as on a temporary basis, and then I'd go and look for something full time. Uh, and that's been sort of the feeling for workers as well. But if I actually look at data, workers have continued to remain in the gig economy for a much longer term. So while from a distance you might look at it and say it's temporary work, it's actually not when you look at the data, right? So they want to continue to be a part of those platforms, but the major thing that works for them is the freedom, right? The
Yeah.
fact that if they have to go to their village for about 15 days in the middle, they have something coming up, they can actually do that and come back and continue to work. So freedom is really, really key and critical when it comes to the gig economy and why it's taken off so
Yeah.
much.
He told me what entitled does, but I want you to tell me in the most simplest of essence, on a daily basis, what kind of impact does entitled serve to any gig worker? How does it streamline things for them? What are the services it offers? So from a functional perspective, purely.
Sure, sure. Let me start with typically what a worker would come to us for.
Yes.
Right, the first thing that a worker would come to us would be, oh, I have an emergency. I need 10,000 rupees to take care of a health expenditure or something that's happened to my house, right? At the very base level, credit or enabling them access to credit, which they do not have access to in the
Mm.
market, in the formal market at least, is what we are trying to do in ensuring that there is formal credit available to them and it's done at an affordable cost, right? So that's the first thing that any worker would get access to with us. The second thing is daily pay insurance models, right? You can get insurance at like 4 rupees a day, and you literally pay for it at 4 rupees a day. It's not like we are marketing it as 4 rupees a day, but you pay for the entire year. That typically ads would do.
Yeah.
So you can literally get access to embedded insurance at 4 rupees a day. And with some of the platforms that we work with, the moment someone comes onto their platform and log, they will just get a message on WhatsApp, hey, your insurance is activated. Right. So that's the second thing, example of the kind of things that we do. The third thing is within healthcare, going beyond insurance and giving them access to primary health services. So a doctor consultation, they're on their bike somewhere, something happens, they can literally just come to us on WhatsApp, in
Wow.
2 clicks, book a consultation with a doctor. Within 15 minutes, a doctor will call them, and a consultation will be done. A prescription will follow that consultation. So that becomes the third layer, enabling access to primary health services. And then beyond that, it's about how do you help them improve in the long term or give them access to more benefits in the long term. So there are saving products that we do that are custom built for blue collar workers, right? They can choose to invest 100, 200 rupees as well in a month in saving plans. And then across the entire government ecosystem, right? Be it documentation, they need a PAN card, they don't know how to get one, we can support them with it. They have access to provident fund with their employer, they want to withdraw a little bit, don't know how to do it, we'll give them support with it, right? So the entire government ecosystem, we become a helping hand to them. So at the base of it, these are the services that we are enabling for anyone in the gig economy, and we do it in a very, very simple format, as simple as possible on WhatsApp, right? So people just come to us on WhatsApp, multilingual format. They can do it in Hindi, English, Marathi for Maharashtrian workers, Telugu, all of the different languages. And that's all that they need. They don't need to download an app with us or anything like that. Simply just come to us on WhatsApp and be able to access any of these things that I've spoken about.
I'm curious to know, how did you come up with that model?
So it's of course evolved over a period, right? When we started, our idea was to look at financial access as maybe the biggest part of it.
Mm.
Over a period, we've just realized that unless you build an entire platform, there is no real sustainable change you're able to bring in the lifestyle of a blue collar worker. And so the services have evolved over a period. WhatsApp as a platform is something that we incorporated very early on because we thought the simplest way possible. And while the initial thought was, okay, let's start on WhatsApp. It's simple, allows workers to interact with you, ask questions, etc. We'll eventually evolve to a mobile app and have a more traditional model. We've actually not needed to, right? Because it's just been very easy for workers. They've continued to like it, and we've continued with that model, and in fact evolved WhatsApp to have more multilingual interactions. So everything for us happens on WhatsApp.
It's the right point for me to ask you this. Having been through such a unique entrepreneurial journey, tell me something that you would be able to share with fellow entrepreneurs about, from your own journey, some kind of tips or some kind of takeaways that you could share with them.
Sure. So my biggest learning over the years, and it's probably the simplest thing. It's not like a business lesson, etc.
Okay.
Is to show up every day. Right.
Love it.
And it's been very, very hard, believe me, to get there
Yes.
because businesses go through lows, highs, all of that sort.
Yeah.
Right. And you'll sometimes sleep extremely stressed and anxious, etc. But as long as you are prepared to just turn up every day, eventually things will work out and it'll go the direction that you're expected to, or you think you should go in. Right. And that's been my biggest lesson, to just show up every day and things will work out, because it is going to be a challenging road, challenging journey. And you learn your business lessons, right? What works, what does not work. How do you assess the market? What is product market fit? How do you go to investors? All of that will automatically happen if you just turn up every day and just put in the best effort. So that's probably been my biggest learning. Something that I tell everyone that I meet, if someone asks me about what is the biggest thing that I've learned in the journey.
So true. And I absolutely second that, which is what I say even on my platform, that you just need to show up someday, somewhere it will reach somebody who would, need that in their universe.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely going to work. My last question to you is tell me about the very audience that you cater to. Tell me about a few tips, maybe three of them that you would have for freelancers to kind of prioritize when they're looking for work.
Sure. So I think the first thing is to understand incentives related to the platform that you're working with, and to ensure that you are efficiently able to get the best payouts with the platform. Every platform will incentivize workers for either long hours. Some of them will incentivize you for peak hours, depending on the kind of work that you're trying to. So understanding those incentives and ensuring that you're able to efficiently get the best out of the platform is going to be the first thing. The second thing is to understand the benefits that you have access to, and how can you go about navigating that entire ecosystem.
Mhm.
Right? It comes from an example as once in a cab, and a lady was driving it, and I was asking her, right, do you have access to insurance? And her answer was, I do have access to insurance. I just don't know what I'm covered for and
Mhm.
how to access it. Right. So just understanding what you have access to, how do you navigate that ecosystem is the second most important thing. And the third would probably be pushing your platform to give you access to benefits, even though they might not want to pay for it. Right, and there are enough options available in the market that platforms can embed within their ecosystem to ensure that workers are able to live a better life while there is no cost to the platform as such. So just push platforms to ensure that they become ways for you to get access to benefits, even though they might not want to bear cost on them. Right, these three things will ensure that workers can thrive, and platforms can continue to be a sustainable way of employment for them as well.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. I'm glad we both showed up for this interview. And we had a lovely chat. Thank you so much. I'm definitely sure that the audience is going to benefit. It's a very unique topic. It's a very unique initiative, and I look forward to sharing it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Karishma. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.